What is up, y'all? It's V2 here. Same night as the last video. Another Sean C video. Hip hop is over.
To this Benny the Butcher video that I hated seeing, not because I thought he was wrong, but because of how people reacted to what he was saying. I absolutely despise when people take people out of context or they start making arguments that the person who is talking never made. So he makes this video, and I don't remember what he was talking about. He's like talking about the state of hip hop.
By the way, Benny's a great performer. I seen him, I think, last year sometime. I think it was him and Bodie James. Bodie James' son could rap too. Yo, that nigga, that little nigga nice.
But how it's being controlled by like weird powers now. And idiots went and responded to this by saying the type of people that you're criticizing right now are the same people that listen to your music. Even though he never was trying to make an argument for who listens to his music or what type of fans he has in any capacity. So I just hate seeing people like misinterpret the point, even if the point isn't that great on its own. Also, y'all talking about his beard. Yes, there are 40-year-old niggas that do not have a full beard connection. I don't know what you want me to tell you. It happens. Realistically, I only showed that just to show that I'm better than other niggas who beard don't connect. That's really the only reason I did it. Like, that was, I didn't even need to show you that. That was what was crazy. I be doing that from time to time. Like, you ever stand up in front of a short nigga? Like, you know he 5'3", and you just like, yeah, just because I can. I'm sorry.
What state the game is in.
Kind of felt offended. I'm like 5'6", but
When the streets don't hold the culture of the game, now that the weird Twitter nerds and the nerds and all of these weird motherfuckers got, you know what I mean, they got their hands on the culture. The voice of the streets don't mean as much as it did when we was coming up. There was a lot of cons to that as well. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say that, but you see what happened when the streets, you know what I mean, don't control the game no more. It's a lot of fuck nigga shit going on, man. And a lot of people's okay with it because they're fuck niggas, man.
Okay, so to me personally, I hate vague statements like this. And
he's not lying, but it's like, bro, hip hop has always been like this. I think because of social media, it's like now you could really see it. Like, you know, anyone could expose that right now. I feel like in rap, bro, there's always some bullshit going on. But that's
vague talking points like this, because I never know what the person who's talking about this is talking, like what perspective you want me to take with this. You're not being like super direct with any particular group that you're referring to. It's just, these are the weird niggas, these are the nerd niggas, these are the fuck niggas, and you're not attaching any names to it. So I don't know what behavior that you disavow in this argument, but if I'm to say anything, you know, what I attribute this to is like maybe Young Thug in his situation recently. And Young Thug changed a lot of people's perspective about him in a very small amount of time by his controversy and his talking points outside of the music. It changed people's perspective about him. And he tried to come back out, right? In 2 interviews with an album, a whole bunch of tweets, and a lot of apologies trying to control the narrative. But the internet and the listeners and the consumers would not allow him to control the narrative. And that is what I feel like the disconnect is with Benny the Butcher in this argument, is that not that he's terrified, but he's speaking from a perspective of an artist that used to listen to people who were able to dictate how they were perceived by the people that consumed their art. And now they don't have that control or that power anymore. I like that he's talking about how, you know, the street niggas used to have a hand over the culture at large and kind of dictated how they were perceived by the people that listened to them. But you know, like, y'all got those family members and you listen to the things that they might tell you when you were a kid and you believe like, oh yeah, auntie, you know what I'm saying, she ain't on nothing. Or unc, nah, he just a regular cool little nigga. Or mom, she just be doing her thing. I don't know what her and the old dude and friend from across the street be doing in the back room. It is what it is. However, eventually you get to a certain age and you start seeing people, you like, yo, auntie might be a scammer. Unc might be a freak. My mom might be a hoe. Maybe. I'm not saying mine, but
that's why I gotta start glazing these rappers, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, people be like praising these artists, praising celebrities as if like they know these niggas for real. And the thing is that like we don't. You know, just because you're a fan or a huge fan of someone, don't mean they're that much of a great person. I'm not saying Young Thug isn't, but you don't know anyone's true colors until you really get to know them.
I'm saying yours. You know what I'm saying? Your mom might be like, she might be, and that's okay at the end of the day. Like, sometimes that just happens. You just find yourself in a situation where, like, damn, that might be your lifestyle. That might be you, right? And you get to a stage where it's like, oh, damn, I can't even look at the nigga the way that they was trying to tell me that they were, and certain things don't hit the same way that they used to hit before I came into this newfound information, okay?
I'm trying to think of an artist that made me feel like this. I want to say the 6ix9ine situation, but I think just over time it was just like, yeah, it's whatever. I know he's still making music. I know he makes a bunch of Spanish music now. Shout out 6ix9ine though, but I don't know if another artist comes to my mind while this goes on. I feel like there is an artist that definitely made me change how I look at them because of something got exposed, but
I didn't know you fucked my dad's best friend. You know what I'm saying?
and no, it's not P. Diddy.
I didn't know my auntie shot my uncle in the face, and that's why he got that hole right there. I didn't know that. I'm not saying that that's me. Again, I'm not saying that that's me. I'm just saying in general, that's how some people find out information about people. And no matter what they say in your family, they can't change your perspective. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is when people like that understand that you view them in a different way than you've always looked at them, they can't feed you the same level of bullshit that they used to feed you. It fall on deaf ears. And I feel like a lot of artists find themselves in that position, street niggas more specifically, where
Okay, so if that being said, would Young Thug's album be more of, let's say, like a classic or more relevant, or people mess with it more if all that stuff about his phone calls being leaked never happened? Let me know.
where the people that are listening to the music don't really give a fuck about what they talking about or look at a lot of the things that they talk about as fodder. You don't believe them. You're not listening to what they saying. You're not intimidated by them. You're not afraid of them. You're not really taking to what they're saying. They come off corny to you now. They come off like regular ass niggas.
Oh man. Shout out to Logic, but definitely I used to be a huge Logic fan. But once he was on that, like, you know, I'm black, I'm white, black, whatever, like, it just got too much too. But I don't know, that just came to my head right now.
The
Don't mean to say it straight, but
aesthetic, the
shout out to Logic.
lifestyle, the moniker, it don't mean shit no more because they've drug it into the ground. And a lot of them talking about war stories. A lot of y'all talking about shit y'all did 20, 30 years ago. You're not even active no more. Not saying that you can't do something to niggas. I'm not. You're making music. You in the studio. You getting money off the mic. Maybe you can identify with that. I think
Wheezy?
it's a lot more niggas that can identify with their mom being a hoe than being at the other end of a barrel of a gun. That's all I'm saying. But regardless, I'm saying that to say that people like this find themselves in this position and then they're culture shocked by their audience and their fan base and their consumers, but they also don't want to make their music exclusive.
I take back Wheezy. I want to work with him one day.
Street niggas may have had a monopoly over the way that they were perceived, and they were able to control the narrative at one point in music history. And they may have even had like a gigantic, and they still have a gigantic influence on the culture, but they've never had an influence over the business. And if you don't have an influence over the business because, you know, you had a label executive meeting where they got you when you were just starting to pop off and you just came from the street and you like, you know what, I'm young, I'm lit, I'm not turning away a deal, I'm 25 years old and they just offer me $3 million and you take it, nobody's mad at you. But at the end of the day, you cannot be mad for the way that you are marketed after you put out, you know what I'm saying, that music on that label, you accept that contract, you get in those studios, you work with who they want you to work with. It is what it is. So it demands people like this, exactly like Benny the Butcher, exactly like Young Thug. It demands that they start putting out their music to people that they want to listen to it and them only. Because that's the only way you'll be able to control the narrative is if it goes to exactly who you want it to go to. It requires you to pay. It requires you to take a pay cut. If you want only certain types of people listening to your music. That's what Benny the Butcher is kind of requesting right now. He wants a specific type of audience because he wants to be able to, or he wants a world where street niggas can control everything. That's what he wants.
I see what Benny's trying to say though, because even for myself, man, I kind of wish like rap was more focused on like the conscious rappers being on top, because there's so many good artists, and like now we're just, well, I'm saying we, but I don't know. Now they're just known as like Scare the Hoes music, and rap is so repetitive to me in terms of the mainstream part of it, at least. But I see what Benny's saying. Do I think it will ever happen? Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think it would have to take one specific artist to really shift the culture around to do that, but I don't think there's one to really do that. I mean, like, people say Kendrick, kind of, sure, yeah, but it's not like, oh yeah, Kendrick is, he's a conscious rapper, well known, boom, he's like one of the best, and niggas know that, but it didn't really shift to where people want to like, all right, yo, let's get all these conscious rappers like up, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's start listening to these guys so they're like over the mainstream niggas. I don't really see that happening, because if that was the case, man, like, we would look at the Clips album like what's that Drake album that came out like 2011? Take Care. Maybe that's a drag, but that's just my opinion, because I think that Clips album is probably the best rap album. I said this last video too, of this year. And they got their praise for sure, but I think it's a little bit quiet now, but I think it has great replay value. I know a couple of my friends are still playing it too, so, but in terms of like mainstream wise, I don't know, but as the most important thing though, at least, and I'll probably appreciate when I have my own, is like, you have that audience, you know what I'm saying? That audience that is able to repeat your music over and over, and it's repetitive. As long as you got that audience, that fan base, bro, it should be good, bro. But I hear what Benny's saying.
That's what he wants. And I'm not mad at that. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying that that's what would be required. You can't have it both ways. You can't want your music to be accessible to all and then be like, oh yeah, well, I got an open for all sign right here, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to control who comes to my storefront. You can't do that. You can't gatekeep a product. You can, but it requires so much work on the person making the product. And I think in order to have that reality, you have to make a lot of sacrifices as an artist, which most of the street niggas aren't willing to do. Number one, I don't want that reality. I don't want that reality at all. I would hate that to be a thing. But I wouldn't be mad at that if people who are making the art genuinely wanted to protect it in that way. I would co-sign it. But they refuse to do it because the money is too attractive. And they've been in this lifestyle for however long. Griselda, the same thing. Music is supposed to change. You know what I'm saying? The people that listen to it are supposed to grow and evolve. And you should want this to be a more open space for people to, you know what I'm saying, make more music. You should want more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? He talks about nerds and hip hop. The last person that was like, well, I won't say the last person,
who are the nerds
but one of the biggest examples of who they used to consider a nerd in hip hop in the early days was Kanye. Imagine niggas saying, imagine if niggas took the approach to Kanye West the way that Benny the Butcher may be speaking about in this instance, and they ostracized him and prevented him from making music and collaborating with people. And like I said, you can, or you can make it extremely unattractive, but they're not willing to take that. They're not willing to take that hit. And that's a fault of the forefathers of hip hop. It is. It's a fault of them for allowing themselves to be commercialized. It's a fault of them for allowing themselves to be bought, because it created a new standard for people that were coming in after them to be like, you know what, if I'm not making this amount of money, then I'm being undervalued and I need to get my money's worth, especially while I'm young. That's just the nature of the situation. That's still not me blaming anybody for taking the money. You got an opportunity, get your opportunity, but it is not the current ecosystem's fault for what niggas 30 years ago took, what agreements they signed and what deals they took to basically make this be a thing, giving power to those that aren't within the culture and allowing them to control it from a monetary point of view. That is their fault. And he's talking about it like it's niggas who are listening's fault and they're making it weird. Like, no, it's been weird. It's been weird for generations, for eons, for a long time. And if he wants to change it, or if he wants that reality to change, it requires a lot of sacrifices from the people making the music. And they're not willing to compromise on that. So it's not entirely their fault either. But that's just what I feel like would need to happen in order for things to move forward.
Right.
But I did hate seeing the
better.
people kind of misconstrue what argument he was trying to have and be like, oh yeah, nah, you don't realize your fans are nerds. That's not what he was saying. It will require way too much sacrifice. You basically be enacting career suicide in order to do it. And have these private shows full of, like, I don't know, niggas that you would basically be sending your MP3s through Dropbox to in order for them to consume your music. It'd have to be alienated from DSPs. It'd have to be alienated from all streaming. It'd have to be alienated from, you know what I'm saying, any manufacturer. You know what I'm saying? It literally have to be like peer-to-peer, desktop-to-desktop interaction. Cover art I make at my studio. I make the files, or we engineer the records here and we send them out to every person who placed an order through a website that we created, that we own. Like, that's it. But niggas would still leak it. Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
100%.
Yeah.
They try to. They try to. We live in a digital age. I wasn't mad at what's his name? Rock Marciano's approach. He spoke like very openly about how he was able to do 6 figures as an indie act.
That's fine.
While not necessarily being like a big artist, but his rollout, you know, would generate off merch and off of a private release and off his digitals and through his website, giving people access to his music, was still able to create a solid living for himself.
That's fire for Rock, man. I didn't even know you came up like that. That's dope. That's it, man. Let me know what your thoughts are of what Benny's talking about. There's too many nerds in hip hop.